Hey guys, this is Backlog Gaming. Today I'm going to be covering Gangsta Episode 1, named Naughty Boys. So far in this episode, we're obviously introduced to the two main characters. Now, these are going to be called handymen. That's a business they run. Their two names are Nick and Warwick, or Nicholas for Nick. Nick and Warwick run a company that per se focuses on more of we will do what needs to be done to protect the city in a sense of money. So if the cops need a job done that is too hard or too hot for them, quote unquote, they will hire these two individuals, the handymen, in order to do their dirty work. This is normally their rules I've seen so far have been, if it involves women, mistreating of women or killing children, they will definitely step in and make sure that that goes punished. In this particular episode, you do see a prostitute in the alley by their business that's constantly being assaulted by the gang leader or her pimp for the Barry Abbott's gang. I don't know if this is Barry himself assaulting this individual lady by the name of Alex that you find out later, but they end up pursuing it furthermore by speaking to two cops by the name of Chad and Cody. Now, these two officers seem to be in constant contact with Nick and Rourke for long periods of times that it's been a business relationship among them. They get the payout from either the gangsters in town or the mobs in town running everything, and then they turn around and go ahead and take care of the business. Now, the two characters, Nick and Warwick, they're kind of opposites of each other, but they balance each other very, very well in this anime. Nick really appears to not be able to hear very well. He is deaf. There you do see in the animation that there is going to be sign language, which is kind of animated very interestingly, to where Warwick is communicating with him going forward. He also has a series of dog tags that he hangs around his neck. Now, these tags and assume he's a mercenary of some sort. In this first episode, we don't really know exactly what he originally was or who he was. We don't really get that background type story. All we do know is that he uses a weapon that is a katana, and yes, he does cut people in half or cuts their heads off within the first episode. It may not be very action-packed, but it's kind of a building episode that kind of opens your eyes to more building towards a resolution more than solving something that's not actually right in your face, blam action style. How it starts off is that the phone's ringing and he's just standing there. Essentially, I thought he was ignoring the phone call just strictly because I just thought he's like, I'm not going to pick up the phone. That's not my job. I was expecting, somebody else to come into the room and pick up the phone. To come later out, he's deaf. That makes sense. He couldn't hear the phone ringing. He was too busy looking in the alley and seeing Alex, the female prostitute, being assaulted by a member or the leader of Barry Abbott's gang. It goes to continue that they go through their process. They get a phone call. Warwick picks up that call. Then from there, they head over to an individual's name by Granny from the subtitles I was reading. Now, she does run like a little shop that sells like cigarettes or little knickknacks and everything like that, but she does call the handyman when maybe she's being oppressed by a gang or some type of activity. They're trying to hit her up for money, protection money, and that sort of thing. With this going forward, the handyman, they head over there. So Nick and Warwick are over there. Nick ends up kicking the complete utter shit out of these motherfuckers that are over there. Warwick, in the meantime, is talking with Granny, just carrying on a casual conversation with her. Once Nick is done kicking ass and taking names, he actually mugs the people. He steals their money, which I found this to be hilariously funny. I don't know if it was money that they took from other shop owners that they were trying to extort and get money from, and then they split it between the two, and they're all happy about it, and they think it's a big score. Looks like about $300 each. Doesn't look like a lot of money on the screen, but hey, money's money, right? So from there, they see that prostitute again named Alex, and apparently she just got punched in the face by some individual because he made a comment in the subtitles about her biting down. He was zipping up his pants, so I'm assuming she was sucking his dick, and then she bit it. Obviously, he wasn't very happy. He punched her in the face, so she's bleeding. Now, in this scenario, they're talking with Granny. Nick drops a handkerchief, and it lands by her, on her top of her head, actually, because she goes down into a pier down below them. Once that does happen, we tend to see her wiping herself off, clean herself off with that handkerchief, and they continue on their way because they have to meet with the cops. The cops' names are Chad and Cody. They go ahead and meet up with them too. They basically get the assignment that we need you to eliminate Barry Abbott's gang. Complete eradication, kill them, nobody left behind, nothing. If there's anybody working in association with them, kill them also. We won't want any loose ends. This leads to building up scene to where Nick goes ahead and starts cutting people in half, continuing to just kill this gang that's in an alleyway. This whole time, the action seems pretty well drawn. It's not amazing by any sort of means, but he gets the vivid picture across that he is a brutal individual and will not hesitate to kill when ordered to, kind of like a dog on a chain. From there, you also see Warwick in the end follow up with some pistol shots, basically shooting people in the head, in the body, in the knees, wherever. He does fire the handgun right next to Nicholas's ear. Nicholas doesn't even flinch one bit, and it's not even that it registers with him. Mainly for the fact that he is deaf, and they mention that multiple times throughout this episode to kind of beat that into the person's mind that he cannot understand you unless he is looking at you and reading your lips, or you're doing sign language, or get his attention some other way. So after he's done hacking him up, they shot the leader of Barry Abbott's gang, which I'm assuming his name is Barry Abbott. They go ahead and walk up to him. He's offering him money. He's trying to buy his life, essentially, at this point. That's kind of funny because they don't really give a fuck, and he should realize that. He goes to reach for a gun. At that point, Nick stabs his hand with his katana, his great katana, right through it into the cement that he was reaching for that gun with. From there, Warwick comes up and tells him he really doesn't give a fuck and blows his freaking brains out. At this point, we do see Alex walking around that alley because that's the only place she assumes knows. You can tell that she's not originally from this area, but she's obviously bound to that area. I don't know if she was sold in the sex slave trade or what happened, but she ends up walking up and seeing this happen, seeing all this carnage, all these bodies that Nick and Warwick have killed, and instead of being freaked out, she continues down that process to where she actually walks up and sees the leader of Barry Abbott's gang get shot in the head. She essentially walks over there, picks up the gun that Barry Abbott dropped, or one of his men dropped, and proceeds to unload the clip into his dead body. So from there, they go back to the cops and talk to Chad and Cody. Basically, they're told, what did we tell you? You're not allowed to take anybody. They should have killed the woman or gotten rid of her or set her free, done something with her. They decided not to. Obviously, they took her in a little bit, and they said, well, you said we could have money in any trophy we wanted. At this point, Officer Chad starts to argue, Nick becomes upset, kicks the cop car, and literally rocks the cop car. So I don't know what's going on. Nick seems to be super powerful in this anime. He is either, got some type of modifications or something. He possesses way more strength than Warwick, way more strength than Alex, way more strength than the other gangsters that were involved in the fight. So I can only assume there has to be some type of backstory that we're going to find out of why he's so powerful. To kick a cop car and literally have it lean and rock is something that's not physically accurate. Let alone his fighting style where he's jumping through the air and slicing people with ease and jumping long distances. So I'm really looking forward to that. Once they take her in, I'm assuming Alex is going to become some type of side character in this anime going forward. I have not read the manga, so I do not know how she develops. I'm assuming they're going to bring her in and she's going to have some form of job with the handyman, going around places, maybe, who knows. From that point, that's the end of the first episode. My impressions of the episode, I really enjoyed the episode. I don't really have any negatives about it. I think that the art style could have been a little bit better, but overall it's good enough for me as an anime fan to sit there and watch. I do like the grittiness of the story. The gore seems to be very well done. Sometimes I wonder if I'm watching something censored a little bit, because you see some things but you don't see all of everything. When you're seeing bodies being dragged and whatnot that have been decapitated, they don't appear to be decapitated, or you don't see the decapitated areas. So that kind of makes me wonder if there's something more maybe that they wanted to put in but they weren't allowed to put into the anime, just strictly because regulations. Who knows? From there, I feel that this story is very intriguing. I really liked Black Lagoon. It's an anime that I really liked. It kind of had the same vibe to it, a crime-driven area to where, you're really seeing the underworld of crime and organized crime, and seeing people be portrayed in different ways. So it kind of resonated with me on that level. I will continue to watch the anime, obviously. I plan on doing each episode recap, these type of videos for YouTube and my viewers. But I am also very excited to see the next episode, see what it offers, see what is going to happen between these, learn more about Nick, Warwick, and Alex. I'm really curious about her backstory. Like, why are you here? What was it life like before this? Or have you always been, passed around as some type of sex slave from gang to gang, or from crime boss to crime boss? Now, back to the art style. The art style seems to be a little bit mature, which it should be, being the name Gangsta, and focusing on the mob. I would hope I would see some adult tones in this anime, that it wouldn't be all peachy and happy and undercut. I want the grit, I want, the violence, I want the sex, I want everything that's associated with those types of movies that we've seen in America's cinema. I just really would enjoy some type of gritty, very violent, very provocative type anime, on an adult level. Not a ridiculous fan service level, but on an adult level, to where we're telling a very mature story, very deep, rooted, very interesting. I hope that the anime continues and develops into something that I am truly going to enjoy, that might become one of my favorites. Who knows? Overall, just a really overall great anime episode so far that I've seen.